that game. Let's check in with Jat, who's stateside with an interview with Cloud9's victorious jungler.
Thanks, Dom. And yes, Meteos, congratulations on the 2-1 victory over Apex. Pretty long series, actually. Clocked in about 3.5 hours. So how are you feeling after a pretty long set against Apex?
I'd say I'm pretty exhausted. Those were some long games and hard games, so it's pretty taxing.
Yeah. What did you find most difficult about that series? Because obviously it was a 60-minute game 2, and then you guys were able to bounce back in game 3. What was the transition like between the tough loss and then the game 3, which is actually pretty decisive?
Well, I think that we lost game 2 just because we made some mistakes, obviously, and we sort of had a wrong idea on how to play the game, and we sort of weren't on the same page during game 2 for like what we want to do in team fights, and so we kept losing fights because of that. So whenever that happens, it can be pretty tough. You know, when you're scrimming, that's usually when you'd have like drawn out conversations trying to figure out what's the right thing to do. But when you're in LCS, you only have like 15 minutes to win games. You just got to kind of try to forget it and move on. And I think we did a good job of that. I was pretty happy with how we played overall, but there's definitely still some stuff we have to work on.
Yeah, and now since this is your second stint in LCS, the last time you're here, they're just best of ones, you show up, play a game, and you're done. And you mentioned how tired you are. Is that going to be a thing that progresses throughout the split, like having the endurance to play in these long best of threes?
Well, I don't think it takes that much endurance. You know, if I had to play another best of 3, I could still do it. It's not like I can't play because I'm tired. It's just afterwards, you know, the adrenaline or whatever wears off and you realize how tired you are.
Awesome. And I also saw an interview that Jensen gave before the game where he was talking about now with you on the team once again, your relationship has improved in the second year. Can you talk to me a little about with your relationship with Jensen and how he's doing this year?
Well, I think that me and Jensen, when he first joined the team, we had really conflicting styles, and we both weren't really great about conflict resolution. So it left both of us, you know, having hard feelings when we disagree about something. But this time around, I think we're both a bit more mature, and we both just really want to win. So he's a great player, and I can, you know, understand his thought process behind things. If we don't see eye to eye, it's much easier to be like, okay, I see what you are going for, but like you might not be accounting for this variable, instead of just like, no, you're wrong, you have to do this. And so I think it's just, you know, the scene's maturing, all the players are maturing, and so it can be easier to deal with conflicts.
All right, well, thank you very much for the interview, Meteos. Good luck in your games next week, and congratulations on the win. For now, though, we're going to send it to Dash and the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Jat. Cloud9 victorious 2-1 over Apex in that series. Great to hear Meteos kind of talk about how the development of the relationship with Jensen has gone, and that it is about maturity and getting to that place where you can have disagreements as teammates. And I'm sure you can both actually speak to this, one as a player and as a coach, having to deal with players who have conflicts, and being able to work through that is the fastest way to becoming a much improved and top tier team.
Right. I think what a lot of people need to realize, like players, I mean, when someone disagrees with you, it's not like they're wrong or they don't understand it. It's because they usually have a different reference frame for like the problem. So like as a mid laner, you might see something different from a jungler. And when you try and just say like, no, you're wrong, obviously it's like, no, I'm just taking something else into account that you're not, and I'm probably missing something too. And that's kind of what he said, when they're different variables they need to keep track of.
Yeah, and
the key thing is really how they've both matured as players, and being able to put yourself in the other person's shoes and really understanding why is this person struggling with what I think is the correct play. And both parties being able to see it that way leads to a lot more harmony and understanding. How can we come to a middle ground and actually work on this that we can both benefit from it?
yeah, and also too, it appears that in Meteos' response as to why Game 2 went the wrong way, in a sense, was because mistakes, yes, but also because the second point was that we weren't necessarily on the same page about how we should be going about team fights. So clearly, some of the issues around communication or around you know, goals and the way that the team should go about things is still not falling into place just yet, but they will get there. Let's dive into this third game, because once again, Cloud9 picking themselves into a composition that needs to win early. They mentioned it, 2 damage comp with that LeBlanc. LeBlanc has to get ahead. He did just that, so they were in a good position to roll through the game. But with Apex picking that late game scaling comp with the Cassiopeia, that's got to be in the back of their head. We lost game 2 to this almost the same exact comp. It could happen again.
To their credit, putting your eggs in the Jensen basket seems to always be a
Not the worst fallback play.
Yeah, absolutely. So he goes off on that LeBlanc. Unfortunately for Apex, they can't extend the game quite long enough. Jumping into a few replays, 17 minutes into the game, the first big fight for Cloud9, 3-for-0 in the mid lane. Let's take a look.
All right, so Special gets his like he's kind of caught out of position. He has to blow his ult early. He gets picked off and dies. And this is kind of what we're talking about at the end of the last game is like this is really a frontline dependent comp with like the Grogs and stuff. And then yeah, Meteos there with a monster engage after that, and from there it's a lot of chasing down as Ray tries to turn back on a Sneaky, but they're able to save him. Smoothie there to pick him up.
Yeah, I mean, the goal just going into the right pockets, right? You see Sneaky pick up a kill. Jensen was 6-0 at one point. Very much, I guess, certain things fell the right way for them, but then they played correctly with their lead.
A key thing about the composition that Apex was running is that as soon as Special gets caught, his first play should have been, let's just get out of here. Drop this fight. Because when you run something that has a very heavy front line with a back line that is most of your damage, the key thing is that the damage gets stacked upon the CC. If the CC can't be followed up by damage, it is not a good time to use crowd control. So going for a pulverize on somebody when there's no carry, especially short-range carries like Cassiopeia and Sivir, is never going to work out. Unlike Cloud9, who's every time that the Maokai and Rek'Sai are going in, you have LeBlanc very capable of following up. Same with a longer range in Asher. She could at least provide a volley. So just misunderstanding the composition, which it's a little troubling since they were able to pull it off Game 2 very well towards the end, but now in Game 3 in the beginning, they're faltering.
Not quite there. Let's move ourselves 14 minutes further into the game, 31 minutes. Cloud9 going to get an ace plus a Baron, but it all starts in the bot lane with Jensen and some fancy footwork here in the 1v2.
I mean, you see Ray off in the corner stalking his prey, thinking it's going to be an easy kill, gets the knock up. He's going to lead Jensen right into Keen, who's waiting, but that's what...
Yeah. Why not just let Keen have the kill? Like, you just wait on the clone and let Keen take over it.
And it's what Sane was talking about before. The Jarvan damage can get kind of flashed out of there instead of a flak. It's the second proc of the LeBlanc W. And here leads to a start on the Baron for C9. And Xpecial's in there before the rest of his team, gets a nice pull. But like Crumbs was just saying, there's no real follow-up to it.
And in the beginning of this fight, for some reason, Apex decides to just send the 5-man to bot side to assist Ray in getting the kill. Yeah. When it should be similar to the Echo Fox Immortals game, when somebody makes a play on one side of the map, your response as a remainder of the team should be to defend whatever else the other team is trying to do. So a little bit of a macro faltering, but Cloud9 responds properly, and the CC gets comboed on with the damage. And at that point, even if you have a low damage composition, if everybody's hitting the right target at the same time, it's not going to make a big difference.
Another big element of that fight was the fact that Jensen was able to back off of the bot lane engage and then TP into the fight, full health, full mana, as at the same time, Jarvan joins the fight, doesn't have his ultimate because he had just used it in the bot lane fight. So you're already fighting underpowered with Xpecial engaging in a place where you don't want to engage. So definitely caught off guard by the cross-map plays from Cloud9. With that Baron buff from there, they kind of steadily pushed down the base, and then we saw that final engagement in the bot lane, which then nets C9 the kill. Final thing I want to hit before we get to player of the game is the Smoothie and Bunny conversation. Last week when I spoke to you, Mark, about it, I know that you said, you can't just look at win-loss records for these guys to determine who is more successful in this roster.
I think this is something, at the start, week 1, people were bandwagoning, oh, Bunny's so much better. Week 2 and week 3, it's like, oh, Smoothie's so much better. But what you don't understand is they ran the same comp twice, Apex. And so the person who goes in to play Game 3 against the same comp is going to perform probably much better because they already have an understanding. We heard Meteos say in the interview, we didn't really know how to handle the comp. Jensen's not sure if he wants to go in, or with Lissandra or kite back, what are we doing? And then you have Reaper watching the game with this guy who's not in the game.
With Smoothie.
Explaining what the team should be doing, and then he puts him in the next game with the whole team being on the same page now, and you play against the exact same comp with new picks and an understanding of how to beat it.
Right.
Of course, you're much more likely to succeed there. So I think it's really rash to just bandwagon onto whoever's winning the most is now the better support, and I think if you take that mentality, you'll flip-flop a lot this season.
So a little perspective.
We should just ask the players who they think is.
Well, and they've been very vocal about the fact that they don't think one player is better than the other, that they are very happy to have them both in the lineup. They're confident with both of them in the lineup. It's about getting them the reps and making sure that in the later stages of the split, if they do have to make a decision, they can, sure, but they'd also be comfortable playing either of them at any point. This does take us to our player of the game, which is going to go to Jensen on that LeBlanc in the mid lane. 7-1-7, only 1 death, and some really fancy outplays, as well as serious damage output.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because Apex went for a similar style composition, even though he can't necessarily burst many people down on the Apex lineup, they don't have the ability to actually get onto him. As LeBlanc, it's very easy to outmaneuver the Gragas, the Jarvan, the Cassiopeia, even the Alistar. So Jensen can have a field day moving around the map, knowing that he's never going to get caught, and he does exactly that. Lots of roams towards the side lanes and ends up snowballing beautifully. He gets such a big lead that eventually nobody's able to handle him, and he can just one-shot whoever he likes.
Well, a long 3-game series between Cloud9 and Apex, but Cloud9 coming out victorious in that one. It's time now for an update over on NALCS 1. Immortals and Fox are into their second game of their series. Immortals is up 1-0. However, Fox is up in game 2 at 24 minutes in, about 2K. We're going to take a live look and see how this one turns out.
Turret health for him to come clean that up. But yeah, remember, even though Echo Fox, they've had this gold lead for the entire game, you know, they've been kind of in control. It is Immortals who are able to take both of the early Drakes, you know, because of that kind of failed setup, as well as the early Infernal trade for the Rift Herald buff. So if Immortals are able to even up these turrets, you know, now they're back to 3-3 on turrets. The gold lead's much closer. They can pose a very threatening mid-game comeback. Fox, basically what they have to do, though, as we said from the very beginning, protect Eve. There's 5 kills on this Caitlyn. It's already got Infinity Edge, Rapid Fire, and almost Bloodthirster. So if they can keep him up and keep him auto-attacking through the fight, then they still should have the advantage.
It's going to be tough. You got Guardian Angel's being rushed here. Reignover, second item, Guardian Angel. After his Sightstone and Jungle item, it looks like another one for Pobelter is going to be coming out. So after this burst of Froggen, they're going to have a lot to deal with the Reignover and Pobelter running around. It's going to be scary. Zanya's on Huni as well, but Fox looking very good so far.
Yeah, I like this play. They're going for the True Sight Vision play around Baron, looking for the pick. They're also pressuring with KFO, who has teleport.
They're itching. The side swipe, Stranglethorns goes down with the gravity field. That's going to be the true damage from Reignover right onto Big, and the rest of it following through from Immortals. There's the TP. That's going to be coming in from Huni. Throws down the equalizer far away. That would have been off his screen. And they're able to completely push out Fox on this aggression.
Yeah, Hard might go down eventually, but he's going to make him work for it. And during that time, Aurelia is still pushing. Woo. Aurelia might get a turret for this chase.
KFO has been kind of silent off on the sides. Hard finds his way out. A great flash over the thickest part of the wall there. It's going to be Baron for that second tier turret. KFO's going to push a little bit harder, hopefully.
And he has teleport, but it's too late. 3,000, 2,000. Froggen won't go for it.
Good choice there. There is definitely catch potential, especially from this team. You're going to get hit with the Iceborne and then a Harpoon. You can't chase that. You can leave KFO to the bot lane, though.
Well, we're getting lucky with some action every time we do these look-ins. It's now evened up in gold after Immortals. Yeah, exactly. Immortals get a nice little pick that's going to be coupled into a Baron. Of course, KFO was pushing down those turrets in the bot lane, so at least Fox is getting something out of it. But with an evened up, gold score and now a Baron buff on Immortals, that's not a position that Fox wants to be finding themselves in.
It looks like it's going to be an Immortals win again. You know, from that big lead, we knew that the struggle from Echo Fox was a macro game. And when you have a 2K lead at 6.5 and you can't expand that, then that's a big problem. We saw the item differential between AD carries. Tier and Mana Crystal versus BF Sword Pickaxe, and we're still unable to actually shut down the AD. You know, we're going to have to revisit what Echo Fox is doing and change something drastic.
Right. 6:30 into the game, we had 4 kills on the Caitlyn. It was a 2K gold lead for the team. 1.5 of that gold lead was on Keith in that Caitlyn. It is now exactly even in terms of gold over on that stream. We'll see if the late game Caitlyn can still pull it out, because he did have the advantage of having the gold all on himself. If you want to know how that game 2 over on NALCS 1 turns out, go ahead and swap over to that. For now, though, we've got to take a quick LCS break. When we come back, Team Envy and CLG will go head-to-head over here on NALCS 2. You won't want to miss it. We'll be live in just a few minutes.
Apex, once again, going to try to drag this one out and try to lock Cloud9 down. Kill and kite out the aggro. Special needs to land the knockup. Whoa! Keen from behind turns it into 2. It's going to catch Special. He's still tanking in the front. Apollo trying to kite it out again. Huge knockup from Meteos as they turn the fight.
They should suspect it, but here they go.
Yeah, they're diving onto Ray. He doesn't. Oh my God!
Where'd he go?
He is. Can he get the damage? Which one's he going to pick? Flash. Ray catches up. He dodges back. Ray does doesn't get the kill.
I'm hitting Cass. Cass is stuck.
Cassio.
Yeah, Cassio. Hit J4 start. Silver has stack.
You can kill.
Nice, guys.
Yeah, we should be able to.
And Cloud9 will take this hard-fought series versus Apex.